Yeah.
That story's great for the first 20 times. Yeah, but anyway, a bit of this and a bit of that.
At one point, the 205 guy started to kill me. I remember that.
That's very sad. I hope that was me.
Yeah, probably.
So I think we can actually see exactly what's going on right now in the keynote.
Wow.
I think we're going there right now.
We can see the stage. Oh, yeah.
Exciting.
Okay, welcome to the Eve keynote of the program. So, as we talked about yesterday, then this year we have basically 3 keynotes. Yesterday was all about Dust, and what we're going to cover now is all about Eve. And it's going to be all about Eve in this year. Everything that we talk about here is not some futuristic vision stuff, it is what's happening this year. This is something we have planned, this is something the teams have signed up to, and it's all very much about the present. Then again, tomorrow we'll talk more about the future, but we'll cover that tomorrow. Just want to say hi to everyone on the stream. We're now up to close to 5,000 people which have bought the HD version of the stream, so there's a lot of people interested in that, and we'll have some stats tomorrow on how many are watching the sort of low definition of the stream. The hashtag is Eve Keynote. We're all geeking out on this Twitter thing, this conference. So this is about Eve in 2012. But before we talk about 2012, we have to talk about 2011. Yeah. Yeah, actually. Okay, so I am here to do that, and then the people doing the great things come after me. So, 2011, it started with incursions, which was pretty damn cool. It had the amazing karate creator, which I think has been universally applauded by press and players. I think the biggest testament is really how sort of fluently people moved their previous identities over to the new identities, which was something we were really worried about. And I've seen a lot of people do very interesting things with... We'll get some of that later. So we've seen people do amazing things with their characters. I remember during the summer there was this whole hat movement on Twitter. It was kind of cool. Then we had an amazing fan fest with chess boxing, which was quite the event, and we have something in store later tomorrow in sort of that spirit. We released the Future Vision, which we started yesterday on, and is still very much relevant, even though, as is the focus of this day, while we keep our eye out for the future, then we really must focus on the present. And that's really what it's about. The month after, I had a baby. I had a son. And the month after that, we announced Dust being exclusive for the PlayStation 3 at the Sony Keynote at E3, which I had to follow Kobe Bryant for that. It was kind of interesting to do that. Then we released a beautiful room with beautiful people in it and very expensive monocles. And we had the audacity to call it Incarna. And obviously, this wasn't the Incarna anyone was looking for. The vision for Incarna was obviously much bigger. And I think our greatest failing of all, if we take the sort of biggest view on it, was really to force it on everyone. Instead of just doing what it should have been done, it should be called Community Technology Preview. You can optionally download and give us feedback. I think we would have gotten a totally different result if we would have gone that path. But we didn't. So we got the feedback through all the channels. So feedback, the Eve player have it. We also got feedback from our employees who were not happy about this either. And really, if I were to sort of reflect on myself at least, Then I would say we were too fixated on our future vision. I certainly was, and I was frankly running to make it happen. I did things to force releases and force things to come in motion because I was rushing towards this. And that was really the biggest issue, that the future vision is still there. As you saw on Thursday, we're making good progress, but there's no reason to hurry towards it. The moment-to-moment gameplay of Internet spaceships is really what we need to focus on, because the future really depends on what you do today. And it's really important to focus on that, and that is all about that this keynote is about. We summoned in the CSM. Yeah, and I want to thank the CSM for coming at a short notice. I mean, it's not an automatic thing that people drop their lives and fly to Iceland on a week notice and help us get through this. And this really was the reason why we created the CSM, was to tackle these things. As we live on the cutting edge of the impossible, we really have to have a really sort of dynamic venue to be able to talk about these things. And we'll be sort of revealing the election results tomorrow on the next group. We released a letter from me where we sort of reflected on all this, and sort of codified it into a document that we can refer to. And then we had to do very difficult things. It was really a hard time for CCP, because even though the events over the summer were one piece of this, then really there was a lot of things wrong at CCP. We had grown very fast, we were doing a lot of things, and we were not really able to focus, and we were not really able to deliver. This is sort of what I felt at the time. It was a really hard time for me to do this, and it took a while to get through it, but ultimately, one has to get through it. You cannot get stuck in trying to justify things or blaming things or being shameful about it. We really have to step into responsibility and do something about it. The EVE team immediately did that. They basically did Crucible on their own while we were sort of sorting out the greater CCP issue. And you will have some of the team come on stage later to talk about that. And we've had some sort of sessions at the conference about that. That was an amazing expansion. It sort of memorialized what was going on over the summer in a very tasteful way. And I think it's interesting how history in the real world and the virtual world are sort of blending together into this thing. But there was more sort of self-examination to be had for me and for CCP overall. I've often sort of, when you take a view of everything that's been going on at CCP over the years we've been in existence, you could almost sort of divide it up into sort of three different sort of, or into different periods where each of them is about 3 years in length. And it's kind of interesting to view it. It was about 3 years that the company spent on really sort of defining the EVE Online, what it should be, mostly playing Ultima Online and learning from that. There were 3 years to make the game. There were 3 years to grow the game to 200,000 subscribers. We spent 3 years growing and diversifying CCP, which was a very sort of strenuous time, and it's very difficult to go from one office, one product, to 4 offices and 3 products, and 4 products actually if you count Carbon. But now we're sort of entering a new period, which is really about delivering the future vision and the future plan of CCP while being very focused on the present. And that's what this day is about. I've often used this, CCP cannot become that, and I wouldn't really say that we will become this, but we certainly we have lost our ability to deliver, and I could summarize it as our structure and processes didn't really match our strategy. So the company has a strategic plan, but we were doing very little to change the company and evolve the company to be able to take on that strategic plan. But even more learning to be had, especially for me. So, this is my daughter, Eva. She's born the same year as Eve, and she's obviously named after Eve. And I mean, many children have been named after Eve since. We just got notice that twins were named after different planets in Eve, which was kind of cool. But she's very proud of being the first one being named after Eve. This is her today. And there's a big change from her at 2 and to her today. And this is a little bit like what Eve has become. Like Eve has now stepped into a period where I think Eve is teaching us more. You guys are teaching us more. The employees at CCP are teaching us more than we're sort of teaching them. And that needs a sort of a new phase for CCP and for me. I also have 2 children now, so that's a little bit analogous to CCP having 2 products now. Well, I mean, of course, we have 3 products, and you should absolutely check out the World of Darkness lecture that Chris has tomorrow. He has some really interesting things to show, and I think it will be good for everyone to see exactly where that is at. And I think I was infected with some reverse disease of the innovator's dilemma, where, frankly, companies are usually too afraid to risk their current business. I would say, like, we were too liberal about our current business. All in the spirit of making sure that EVE Online is going to live forever, with our sort of amazing future vision. But taking all that in, then we need to take action. To get to this place, we need to do exactly and go and fix what we need to fix at CCP so that it's able to go after this future vision. And that revolves a lot around our structure and our processes and how we go about improving them to be able to not lose sight on the present while we look to the future. And we recruited John Lander for that task. John was previously the head of our carbon technology platform, which was a huge priority for CCP, sort of the 3 years when we were in the sort of that phase of growing the company. He's a very experienced producer, one of our most experienced ones, and he's very good with these type of sort of structure processes, building of projects so that they work at the scale we're currently at. He was, prior to coming to CCP, he was with IBM, but before that, he was a teacher. Again, it's sort of fitting with the theme. But prior to that, he was a biologist. And he found a way to take these guys, who tend to swarm a lot, insect swarming. I wonder where this is going. Anyone know? And he took this fungus, and he found a way to activate the gene that makes the fungus produce a certain enzyme that dissolves the jaws of locusts who tend to swarm, and turned them basically into this. Which means if John would have been allowed to release this into the wild, you could make a fairly credible argument that John Lander cured world hunger. So, he is now here with us to help us cure Eve. So, please welcome on stage, John Lander.
Thank you. Wow, what an introduction. How do you counter that? The curing world hunger is probably a little bit of an exaggeration, but it's actually a good thing there's a bit of hunger left around. Otherwise, this tubby little fresh-faced young lad from the early 2000s wouldn't have turned into our svelte paragon of virtue of our CEO. It's always good to get the edits on the slides last. But what have we got in store for you today? I want to take a little bit of time just to explain to you who I am. Hilmar's given me a wonderful introduction. I'll thank him for that later. But I want to just sort of really introduce myself to you guys. What's different about Eve? We've spoken about change. We've spoken about how things are a little bit different. So I just want to give you some insight into some of the things we've done inside CCP around the Eve project to make it a better place. We're going to take a bit of a look back at the things that we've done in the past. Notably, we're going to take a look back at what we achieved in Crucible. And most importantly for you guys, what is it that we're actually going to be doing for you in 2012? The big one that we know is coming is Inferno. I want to give you some details around that and some of the other things that we've got planned throughout the rest of the year. So, who am I? Who is this guy? What do you know about Eve? Why are you a good custodian for your spaceship game? Well, I've been playing now since 2005. This isn't the representation of me in-game. He's got far too much hair for that. But I've been playing now for a long time. Back in 2005, I rolled my character like everybody did as a Caldari. Come on. And did what all new Caldaris do and got in a missile boat and went missioning. And did that for a while until that started getting a little bit dry. And then I went cruising around the forums and just looking for some people who could maybe point me in the right direction. So got in touch with these guys. So for those of you who don't know, these are in-game corporations who actually, some of the things that they do is just help some of the newer players just understand just how deep this rabbit hole goes. These guys are awesome. Big shout out to them. Okay. So these guys showed me the thing which, to this day, I love best in the game, and that's making other people go bang. I'm an unashamed PvPer. I wouldn't claim to be a particularly good one, but I do PvP. My sort of journeys around EVE have taken me to all sorts of places. Syndicate, of course, the home of small gang warfare, but also right the way across the map, ending up in Syndicate, so the people who live there right now, watch your back. There could be a dev shooting you in his sights. I do every day, usually via a pod in the station. And so, I've done a lot of different things in the 7 years in game, from missions, loving small gangs, but I've done the big stuff. I've done holding sovereignty. I've played the NPC game, done a huge amount of different things in here. So what I'm really just trying to say to you is I've been around. I've seen a reasonable part of the game. I know what makes EVE great, what made it great back when it was in its early days, and I know what makes it great now. And that's something which I hold very dear to my heart. It's still the game that I fire up if I get any spare time. But EVE Reloaded. So I was going to talk a little bit about what have we changed? What are some of the things that we've done? It was obviously a time of change. We saw this, the JITA protests, all the feedback that we got last year. It was very clear that we were headed in not the right direction. And I wanted to pull us back into the right one. So goals for 2012. What is it that CCP is going to be doing for you, for the EVE players, as we go through this year? And this is a set of goals which they hit me kind of here. They're the right thing that I feel as an EVE player, but I want to just kind of gauge your reaction to them. So we're going to stop the Jesus features. We're going to stop the huge, there's going to be one great, amazing thing that'll change EVE forever attitude. We're about the core spaceship game. We're about concentrating on the industrialists, the PvPers, the nullsecers, the factional warfare players, the role players, everybody who's actually played at the heart of the game. That's what we're going to be about this year, is that core spaceship game. And iteration, it really isn't a dirty word. This is a great sort of tree that just shows you what your options are in the world of EVE, put together by one of our players. There is a huge amount of content in our game. There are so many things that we can go back to, that we can expand upon, that we can reinvigorate, that we can rebalance, that we can add things to, which isn't creating something completely brand new, shiny, and risky, but which is just developing the game which is there. And so we're going to be looking as we go through this year to what are those great opportunities for the really good things which could be, and actually just putting those finishing touches to them, giving them a bit of reinvigoration. And really building on those last 2 points is, you are the important people. This is from last year's FanFest. You guys come here. You guys have very clear views on what is a great game. We need to make sure that that game is fun for you. We need to make sure that we're delivering something that you want to play. And so that listening, that engaging back with the community, that the developers becoming more accessible, looking for that feedback, getting back what it is that you want to see in the game, that's what we're doing this year. And then finally, EVE's nearly 9 years old. It's a big, complex beast. How we build it, how we deploy it, how we build content in it. It is complex, and we haven't always given it the kind of tender, loving care that it needs. So we're going to spend a bit of our time this year. We're going to spend a bit of our resources actually making it easier for us to work in it, making it more streamlined, making it easier for us to get fixes to you, new patches to you, more content to you on an ongoing basis. That takes a bit of introspection from us. That means that we have to go in and we have to rework parts of our engine. But we're going to do that because ultimately it gives us that foundation to really build Eve for the next 10 years. So those are the 4 really high-level goals that we've got the entire team working behind now. And this has given us a real focus. And I hope that those of you who've been in roundtables, those of you who've been going to presentations, are seeing that things are directed at you. Things are directed at what you want. Because we want this. We want nearly 2,000 players in a system duking it out with each other with a really meaningful gameplay experience and something that works. I look at the top right. Who says that Titans blob? So we did some reorganization. We had some really tough times at CCP at the end of 2011. And one of the things I wanted to do when I came into this position was to put us in an organizational structure so that we were focused on the people who really matter. So that every team, every group of people who were working within CCP were concentrating on putting something in front of you that was of value to you. Not some sort of internal, hey, how can we do something that's cool? I wanted everybody to have the focus that the person you're delivering to is the person who's paying their monthly subscription. So that's you. So we put some changes in place. I'll go on. So we put some changes in place. We've got a team now that is just purely focused on the features that you have in the game, in the client. So no more distractions. This is about spaceships. This is about the Eve that we know and love. There is a group of people now whose only goal in life is to deliver really, really cool stuff to you. We've got another group whose focus is on, for those of us, not me, English absolutely is my mother tongue, but for those of us who don't have English as their primary language, let's give not just lip service to, let's give real support to. Let's really put the effort in on a community, on a translation, on a whole set of systems to actually enable us to really reach out to the entire world. We have another group now who are looking at what's our web presence? How do we actually do coherent, sensible things on the web? And others who've joined that group now who are, how do we actually take what happens in Eve, in the client? How do we actually make the game more accessible to you when you're not at your superpowered desktop at home playing Eve through the client? How do we actually start bringing functionality out to you through a different range of devices, through a different range of access methods? And how do we also support our third-party developer community? So this is a group who's looking sort of outwards at giving access to our game to people. These are the guys who if you have to interact with on a daily basis, so our customer support, our GMs, the guys who actually run Tranquility, keep it up, the community team who've been doing an absolutely great job just bridging that gap between the developers and yourself, getting the video dev blogs out, getting dev blogs out. These guys are working incredibly hard. And we've also put some engineering in this group. So we've actually got a bunch of programmers, a bunch of very clever people who are now looking at how do we just improve Eve? How do we don't have to worry about features. We're not going to get pulled off when the next crazy crunch time comes when Inferno's around. These guys are there on a daily basis to just look at how do we make the game better on a daily basis. We have a foundation technology group who are just building the engine. They're building the deployment tools. They're building the way that we actually develop all of the tools, all of the processes, some of the core engine tech as well that everybody relies on to build the game. Our research and statistics group, I mean, you've seen some of the work they do with the economic newsletters, the price index dev blogs, but they're also turning inwards and they're supplying the dev teams with huge amounts of data about exactly what you're doing in game so that we can better build features to actually match that activity, to match the areas where you want to play and to fix the areas where you don't. And then finally, we've got our marketing group who are bringing Eve to the people who don't know about it. It's always good to get new players into the game. And they also put on events like this, and the marketing team's worked incredibly hard on FanFest. So I just want to take a moment. So for all of these people who are working this now, just a quick round of applause, please. And so with the reorganization, with the goals, we've made some process improvements. Wasn't me. And I don't want to go all the way through the details of this, but what we're now able to do is we're able to continue to do the 2 big releases that we do a year. But with the new processes, we're streamlining things, with improving how we deploy our game. We're actually able to do more point fixes, and you saw this on things like Crucible 1.1, where we did the Assault Frigate rebalancing. We can actually start spreading out, getting content to you, still having our big moments, but keeping new things coming as it comes online. And with the live team, with groups of engineers, groups of customer support who are actually able to focus on the day-to-day business of playing the game, we're also able to just constantly push out small fixes. There's a crash, it's affecting however many people. Let's push out a fix, and let's get that fix out tomorrow. Let's not get it out in a month. So now we're actually able to constantly be pushing really, really good content and an improved and more stable game out to you. And we're in the process of moving to this model. It's been tough, but already we're beginning to see some of the benefits of it. But that's enough about the introspection. That's enough about what we're doing now. What is it we're going to be doing for the rest of this year? This is the stuff which I know people are really interested in. Well, it all starts really today with FanFest. And at FanFest, what we're doing is we're kind of drawing the curtain closed on Crucible. So Crucible shipped in the end of November. It's been a fantastic release for many, many, many reasons. And we'll take a little look back at what was in there in a moment. But Crucible kind of finishes now. And it's been a wonderful friend. But what we are doing is on April 24th, we are going to have a release which will take us on the way to Inferno. It's an escalation to Inferno, and it's coming out on April the 24th. And it will be a precursor patch, which is something we haven't done before. So there will be real, meaningful content which is going to set up the Inferno patch, not patch, release, which will happen on May 22nd. So Inferno's coming May 22nd, and there will be a big content patch before it to prepare you all. But that's not it. We're going to continue with this constant pushing of content to you. So in August, we're going to have a 1.5 release. In September, we're going to have another point release. And in November, that will be mid-November, that'll be the winter 2010 expansion for EVE. So that at a really, really high level, those are the things that are coming to you as we go through the rest of 2012. But that's not all. We've got our 10th Alliance tournament. 10th Alliance tournament is going to kick off at the end of June. So all of you Alliance leaders, start getting your wormholes prepared, start getting up on CC. The qualifiers will open on 30th of June, go for a second weekend, 7th of July, and then the finals will be a couple of weeks later in July. And all of it will be streamed live on EVE TV in HD. So everybody will be able to actually catch the action on that. And with this kind of new position of mine, and being the first British senior producer of EVE Online, I couldn't resist just abusing my position just a little bit. The UK is our second highest population of players. With some others catching up behind. But we've been listening to an awful lot of the feedback that have been coming from all of our player groups. And something was really coming through very loud and clear from the UK. And so an announcement now. So from the 1st of May, you're going to be able to pay in pounds in the UK. And being, of course, a conservative Brit, I've got to be careful I don't oversell the next bit. So don't get dazzled by the PowerPoint. But we're going to be going at £9.99 a month. So this is a new price point for us, which puts us very, very competitively in the UK market. And end of April, we're going to be doing a player gathering. We're going to be in London. We're going to have a bit of a party. We're going to do some events so that we'll be able to sort of really get this out to the UK community and make a big part of it. So. And there's a UK roundtable tomorrow, which I'll be at. So if anybody's got any other questions around this, come along tomorrow at 1 o'clock. So I just really want to sum up this intro piece by this great internet meme, which is internet spaceships are serious business. They're so serious that we have players who design ships for us. We build ships, and you guys love flying it. And really, I just want to take a moment to just sort of restate the commitment from me personally to all of you and to everybody who's watching out there, which is, for the next year, we are making spaceships the serious business that we're going to focus on. We're not doing anything else. It's just core Eve. We'll take a look at other things. We don't want to become just a one-trick pony. But what we do want to do is, if we ever do anything in addition to this, it will be in addition. It won't be instead of. We're always going to be looking at this. So that's just my intro done. We've got a whole load of people who are going to come on and give you some really good information about what's happening in 2012. Just like the blog I put out about 6 weeks ago now about Inferno, all I've done really is tease with some dates and names. But what I want to do now is I want to bring on CCP Soundwave, our lead game designer, who's going to give you some detail about what it is we're actually doing. But what I will do is, though, I'll just warn you about his presentation style.
Nothing to be worried about, guys. I've done this 1,000 times. It's going to work out fine. All right, I'm here to talk to you a little bit about Crucible. I'm here to talk to you a little bit about the future and kind of what we have in store. I know you guys are really excited to hear what we have for the rest of the year. Let's talk a little bit about Crucible. Well, so Crucible for us is kind of like a return to spaceships. You know, we've had a game that's been running for 9 years. You know, as you go on, you put on all these different components. Like you guys saw the dust stuff that looks really, really exciting. You know, we've put on EveGate and the character creator and all that stuff. And at the end of the day, it's still about spaceships. You know, you guys got a game about spaceships. You played with the spaceships, and then there's all these other features. But the core of it is spaceships. And you know, we sat down this winter and we were like, what can we do for the players that they really like? And it turned out it was spaceships. You know, the picture, by the way, is not like a work in progress or anything. It's just terrible things that come up on Google. But I mean, you know, at the end of everything, you guys like spaceships. We like making spaceships. You know, let's make sweet love. Like, not like the seedy webcam kind of love, but the one where I call you in the morning. And that's kind of what happened with Crucible. So we launched Crucible. We did all these things. And so what happened? Well, suddenly Eve just gained 11 million subscribers. Biggest MMO ever. And thank you for applauding my blatant lying. So anyway, of course this didn't happen, but Eve kind of came back into kind of the Eve that we all know and love. People started logging on. We saw that people were, you know, happily shooting, screwing each other over, doing all the activities that all of you guys engage in. And it was awesome. Like, people were spending more time shooting other people in game than posting about how bad Eve was on the forums. And, you know, just seeing that just means a ton. And it also tells us that we're going in the right direction. And of course, for me, I was just really happy that no one was photoshopping me burning in hell anymore. That does get kind of old after a while. Oh. So what did we do with Crucible? So Crucible really had three main things that were super important. And one was getting back to balancing. Balancing is really one of the things that we haven't been spending enough time on. But we got back to, I think, kind of with a bang with CCP Tallest and Eterbium doing a lot of really, really cool changes. And this is just one of the things that you need to keep the game healthy. And really, if you want to scale it out, balancing versus like new and shiny feature, I think this should really always come first. And you know, from now on, it certainly will. The second thing is iterating on stuff that's kind of dumb. Like, if you have something that's broken, it doesn't really help if you build something else. For a long time, you know, we focus on all the impressive stuff, but at the end of the day, like, if you don't care about incursions, but there's this one button that's been bugging you for years, then, like, you know, the work we put into that might entirely be worth it. So just going through some of the stuff that didn't work and just make sure it works now. and of course, listening to some of the stuff you guys weren't happy about. I think if Crucible had anything, it was basically us going through the top list of stuff people were posting about on the forums, and we didn't get to it all for different reasons, but I still think that we had like a very solid approach to it and got to a lot of it. But anyway, what Crucible turned into. I wanted to go through the patch notes and kind of draw some stuff out. Just a few ones to begin with. The battle cruisers. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I mean, we had one. One was going to come out, but it delayed so much that we actually made all 4. And this is one of the, again, gripes of the community. People were like, where's that battle cruiser? Where is it? And, you know, we ended up turning 4 battle cruisers. They're awesome. Stuff like Nebulous. Speaking of 9 years old, this is part of the reason why Eve looks much better than any game, any MMO launched the past year. And, I don't think that's really a terrible thing to say. Eve is beautiful. Eve doesn't look like a game that's 9 years old. Thank you, one guy in front row. Time dilation. Eve Online has EVE Online has always been a game where people can build empires. We haven't always been as good at supporting your ability to build empires, but at the end of the day, if you want to bring 2,000 of your closest friends to fight someone else who also brings 2,000 of his closest friends, you should be able to do that. Time dilation lets you do that. Customs offices let you take control of the universe, let you own something, let you steal it from other people. Corp bookmarks. This is, yeah. I've been referring to this kind of as the rage feature, because this is basically me dealing with bookmarks in wormholes, and just one day just getting so angry and being like, we're doing core bookmarks right now. And, that kind of turned into that. And then there's the logistics lifesaver. I'm certain that there's plenty of logistics pilots who wouldn't be here today if they hadn't gotten those cubes, like instead of just on and on and on. And we all know how awful it was, but then this one comes in. When I sat down with this PowerPoint, I wanted to pretty much go through all the stuff we did, but I kind of forgot just how much stuff we did. So I'm going to show you this, and then I'm going to kind of just quickly breeze through the notes, because they're pretty impressive. This is our feature notes. Oh, wait, not that. That's something else entirely. So this, 1 page, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wow. That's just the features. Just the features. Now, of course, we fix bugs as well. And another page, another page, another page, another page, another page. It's awesome. Didn't have to do anything massive, large, flashy, just like page and page and page of small things that just kind of came together. So is everything going to be like Crucible? It's kind of strange, because I look at Crucible and I really like it, but I also kind of have this feeling that we can do better. Crucible was kind of the right thing for the right time, but the stuff we're working on now, I think might just turn out, even more awesome. Because Crucible, at the end of the day, was little things at a time when we needed little things. But we can't just continually do little things. Moving a button around, doing all those small things is great, but we also have to realize that some of the small things that are broken also have bigger parts that are broken. We can't fix pauses by doing little things, for example. We have to kind of look at some of the larger issues and kind of apply the same principles to them. So go in with the same mindset we had for Crucible, and just do it on a bigger scale, which is why I'm kind of excited. So, what's the future? You can tell it's the future because he's on a hoverboard. So what are we doing right now? This is the stuff that's actually in progress. First one, we're going to redo the Vortex system. This is kind of, I don't know if you guys saw the Crime Watch presentation. but it's like the aggression system, and it ties into Empire and LowSec a lot. And we just kind of picked this one up because it's kind of like a core foundation mechanic. You know, we're going to close off the loopholes, but instead just make a system where you hopefully won't need the loopholes. The war shield and the shredding and all that stuff is a little bit silly. So why just not make a mechanic that kind of where you won't necessarily need it? There's, of course, we've been touching kill mails as well, by the way. I know you guys are really excited about the kill mails, and those are going to come in. We have a bit of a work in progress UI here on the war report. You know, you can see there's a timeline when someone blew you up or when you blew someone up. You can kind of go in and see. Of course, it's not intended to be like this is the winner and this is the loser. We can't really compress conflicts in EVE Online to that, but this will just basically give you an overview. Go to that day, see who you lost, who you killed. It's just a cool little piece of UI that we've been putting together. And a mercenary marketplace. I've always loved mercenaries, but we've never really had anything in place. This one will basically, in the contract system, allow you to put up a contract to defend people that are at war. So if someone decks you, you go into the mercenary marketplace, you pay someone, and they'll protect you for X number of, I think it's a week or two at a time, which I think is pretty sexy. And yeah, of course, you can never really trust that the mercenary is going to do his job in EVE, but you know, you can at least send someone money hoping he'll help you. Faction warfare, pillow fighting. Look, they look so happy. This is what I want you guys to be in faction warfare, this happy. All right, we need to make it meaningful. This is like the #1 thing that we heard from the players. There needs to be a reason to fight. And I think a good place to start, if we're talking about this iterative process, is just doing the baseline stuff. So, of course, we're going to fix stuff like you docking in an enemy militia station, just like the baseline stuff that seems a little bit silly now. Just, you know, to have that stuff make sense. We're going to put a lot more rewards in for doing militia work. So if you don't want to run missions, you'll actually get LPs for killing other militia members, of the other militias, of course, not your own. That would be a fairly silly system. For capturing systems, all the stuff that contributes to the faction. If you guys saw CCP Eterbium's presentation today, of course, you'll know kind of the gist of a lot of this stuff. Of course, upgrading the system as well. We're going to call it an iHub. It's not going to be the same as soft warfare, but we kind of want it to share terminology. So you'll get this one, but instead of someone plunking something in and you having the benefit, this will actually be a system where everyone can contribute. So you can go in and put your LPs in to improve a system, which is a kind of cool collective responsibility system. Looking at ship balancing, you might also have seen this presentation at FanFest. We did a lot of balancing for Crucible, which was mostly based off your feedback. There was a lot of like gaping holes that we needed to plug, and after that we've spent our time kind of creating a map. So you might not see as much balancing in April, but that's simply because we've kind of made a 5-year plan basically. I mean, we have this thing, and of course you can see from this that there are some holes in here. I mean, we need to start in the back and just start balancing out. And then, of course, fill in gaps. Like the destroyer line, there's only a destroyer and an interdictor. Do we have some sort of Tech 3 ship we can put in? All that stuff. But we're just going to start, and we'll probably never finish because there's just so much cool stuff to do. Unified inventory, UI guys. This is a mock-up from what they're working on. You know, it'll be standard Windows 97 functionality where you can drag and drop things. That'll be, you know. You have all these containers you can use. You have this kind of meter that tells you how full it is. And there's even like an ISK value thing that we have in there where you can see the average market price of what's in a container. And it's just better usability. It's really, really cool. New modules. Some of the very basic stuff, like in Crucible, we filled out some of the gaps for Tech 2, put all the Tech 2 modules in that didn't really have anything. Here we have stuff like just filling out some of the Tech 1 stuff, like there's just one size of web drones, for example, we'll put in switching resists on the fly. We have one that's maybe a little bit more of a lazy defensive module. It won't be as good as the active defensive ones, but this one will basically read the type of damage that comes in and juggle your resists. Of course, as mentioned, it won't be as effective as the manual ones, but just like a cool, different functionality. Micro jump drive, one that will actually jump you. The afterburner and the warp speeds you up. This one will actually jump you, which is kind of cool. And we have a ton of these. I think we have like 10 to 15 in the pipeline for summer, and we'll just keep going, put out new stuff, does new stuff, fancy new toys to play with, and hopefully this will kind of break up some of the stalemates in fleets and get you guys thinking about fits again. The even more future, what comes after? So this stuff is what we have basically on our plan. We haven't started designing it yet. We don't have concept art for it. So the stuff I'm going to show you now is just a good mix of screenshots and stuff that pictures I've just blatantly stolen off the internet of random things. So don't take this as work as in progress art. And this is basically, the future, even more future. Pauses. We're going to redo pauses. A POS should not be a suicide inducting structure. It should not be something that people do and basically hate themselves. It should be something that everyone wants. Everyone wants a POS to live in, to store their things. It should be cheap, it should be accessible, it should be easy to use. On the flip side, it should be something alliances use to invade other people's space. This should be everything from a cheap little captain's quarters you can have if you only play EVE once a week, to a massive, like, flying Death Star with so many guns on it you can hardly see the structure. It needs to scale. Thank you, one guy. It needs to scale, and it needs to be something everyone wants. Again, this is on our checklist to do. Hopefully work starts this year, and we can show you something awesome next year. New ships. More new ships. Let's start looking at that balancing tree. Let's start finding the gaps, and then let's start putting new stuff out. Let's leverage the new modules we're putting out. If we have new modules, we can have new ships that utilize their effects. I think we should be putting out ships once or twice a year, and hopefully we can do that. Does someone just go yay in the back? Yeah! Dust. I think Brandon, I can't hear you. All right, I'll take that as something really positive about my looks. Thank you. Anyway, so Brandon, our executive producer, was talking about rolling this out slowly and kind of comparing it to drinking water from a fire hose. And I think that's like a good way to put it. We're going to roll this out slowly. We're going to start with the initial release of Dust, of course, but then we're going to continue building that as well. Of course, we have a commitment to tying this into EVE in an awesome way that you guys won't stab us for. And that's what we're going to be spending a lot of time on as well. Then there's new UI. This is a few months old work in progress for drone management. You can see we've kind of turned it more into a module, kind of use it more like a regular weapon group than kind of the folder structure-y thing we have it today. And again, this is just work in progress that we've been looking at for a while. Ring mining. This is so we have mining now, and it's it's mining. It is what it is. But we also kind of want to do something else. We saw that a lot of people really liked the group aspect of incursions, being able to do stuff they like, which is shooting people with their guns in groups. And I don't think there's any reason why we wouldn't kind of try to do the same for mining. Think of like a fleet of people landing in the belt, and you kind of, like trawlers, scan through the belt and try to find like the goods. Like it's like a future fishing fleet-ish thing. That's kind of cool if you like think of our probe and scan system. So we're looking at that. So what's going to come out of these asteroids? Now, so it would kind of suck if we just put the regular minerals in there. What if we put moon minerals in there? If I could choose between you going out with 10 of your friends, or your 2,000 closest friends, as it sometimes happens in PvP at least, if I could choose between having you go out with 10 friends, do a group PvE activity, and get rewarded with moon minerals, instead of the big alliances just basically taking cash out of an ATM to build Titan number 1024, then I'd rather give it to you and your 10 friends. So, this is a little bit about Crucible. It's a little bit about what we're working on, and this is what we want to do in the future. Thank you very much for coming to Iceland and seeing us. I'm going to pass it back to CCP Unifex. Thank you.
Really great stuff. I'm excited, just getting ready for April, May to see some of that coming online. Next up, I want to invite CCP Seagull and CCP Alice to come and have a bit of a talk to us about the huge amount of effort they've been putting into our web technologies and also into our cluster, purely to the view of making sure that everybody who plays EVE doesn't always have to be in the client. So how do we actually start pushing aspects of EVE, the bits that you want to play, everywhere on every platform? These guys have been heading up teams who've been looking at how we actually change what it is we're actually delivering to you so that you have your client and you've got other ways of accessing the EVE universe. So please, everybody, welcome on stage CCP Seagull, CCP Alice.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Andy. And I want to talk to you about some upgrades that we're doing to our game cluster and what they mean for you as a player. So this here is a kind of overview picture of how our cluster works. You see the EVE clients there. They're connecting through the proxy to get access to the game. Now, for a long time, there's been a huge assumption built into how the cluster works. It's all over the code base, and it's really kind of fundamental to how the game is built. And it's the assumption that you're always connecting from the client. It's also the assumption that this is the only place you ever do stuff in the game from. And this has made it kind of hard for us to bring you more of EVE outside the EVE client. We are doing it in a couple of places, like the EVE API and EveGate, where you can interact with parts of the game, but both of those applications have to work pretty hard around this assumption. But over the last year, we have gone and tackled the pretty massive task to fix this. So we have made a new interface to the EVE cluster that we call Carbon REST, or CREST for short. And through that interface, we can let an application like EveGate connect on the same level that the EVE client does. So fully kind of interactive game connection. And it means it can do stuff, pretty much anything that the EVE client can do. Because CREST can translate from a web request into the normal kind of cluster traffic. And we've also made sure that the cluster now gets that the client might not be the only place you connect from. And this is a pretty big deal for us because it means we're finally in a position where we can really take EVE outside the client. It's also how we can bring a whole new game like Dust and connect it to the EVE universe. So that bombardment you saw yesterday, all of that interaction works through CREST. And this year, we're really going to use this new technology to do two main things for Eve. The first one is that we're going to use it to bring you more of Eve outside the Eve client. You'll see more data, more fully connected game features on our websites. So now when you see these features, you kind of know why we can do it now and why we couldn't do it before. Now, I will point out here that we're pretty careful about what we make available through Carbon Rest. We're very aware that if bots play the game, for example, it breaks it for everyone. So we put a lot of thought into what goes out through Crest. The second thing we're going to do is that we're going to give this to third-party developers as well. We know that these apps are a huge part of the Eve experience and that they really make it better. And giving access to Crest means that these applications will be able to not just read stuff out of the game, but also write back to it, with your permission, of course. So this becomes a new addition to all of the other tools that we already have for third-party developers. And me personally, I think this is kind of insanely cool that we can do this, that we have an API and that we're going to upgrade it basically to be read-write. And yeah, I can't wait to see what our developers do with it. So how will this actually happen? Well, we've already shown a lot more detail about this to developers in the dev track sessions this morning. But we're going to do beta access for developers before the summer. The first Crest API that we'll make available is around contact and standings management, but that's really just like a tiny start that we'll grow from. We've also gone back to the drawing board when it comes to the licensing situation for third-party developers. We're going to introduce a developer license. It will have no new weird restrictions and be absolutely free. And that's it for me, and I'd like to hand you over to Anne.
Hi, I'm Anne, also known as CCP Alice, and I'm going to talk to you about what we've been doing in web for the last year and kind of where we're going to focus on for the coming year. So we define the Eve web presence into 3 categories. The first category is sort of the public, more outwards-facing stuff, like landing pages, marketing expansions, and of course, our main website, eveonline.com. So what did we do in this area over the last year? Well, we released a brand new Eve Online website. And this was a big, important step for us in how we explain Eve in more exciting and interactive ways so that we can all introduce the game to new audiences. So we also took advantage of some really cool web tech. We used WebGL to render the star map and the ship viewer. This is basically a technology that allows you to put 3D objects that you can fully interact with on web pages. So it was very exciting. We also improved how we explain the kind of emergent gameplay style of Eve so that people can understand better what the sandbox is and what that means. And a whole bunch of other really cool stuff that just shows off Eve. The second category is account management, and this is all your account and subscription and billing stuff. So what did we do here? We also launched a brand new website. We launched brand new account management last year, and this was a badly needed upgrade. I don't know if any of you remember the old one. It was a bit. So now it's much more easy for you to, pay for your game time, manage your subscription, buy Plex, and it's easier for us to put more offers and campaigns and Plex price reductions in there. We also made it a little more intuitive to use the buddy program and track and receive your rewards. We're going to make some improvements to the buddy program over the course of the coming year as well, so watch out for that. The last category is the community stuff. So this is all the community gameplay, and support stuff. What did we do with this? We launched brand new forums, which we're iterating on and constantly improving based on all of your feedback. And we got some really good points in a roundtable earlier. We also launched corp forums. This is huge. This is me posting on the CCP one about bacon, of course. Yeah, we did this so that it would be a lot easier for you guys to talk with each other and for you to, communicate within your corp here rather than having to set up complicated forum software somewhere else. And we worked really hard with the security team to make sure that this would be a very safe place for you. So if you haven't set yours up, you should go poke your CEO or your director and get them to click that button. We also, having the new eveonline.com come out, we also used the foundation of the old one to create an Eve community website. And this is where we're now going to put our development focus for the coming year. So what does that mean? Well, it basically means that we know we have a lot of stuff that you use, need, and want, and that needs to be improved, kind of distributed across a lot of different websites. So we want to work hard and bringing that all together into one central place, and that will be the Eve community site. And we will, of course, give it the same overhaul that we did the Eve Online one. So we'll be looking at the player-generated content and all of that, and how we can bring that more to light and make it more accessible and on the community site. And we'll, of course, be seeing where we can take advantage of the incredible work that Andy's been doing with her team and seeing what we can do with Crest over the year. We'll also be improving the support website. So we're going to do a better help and petitions section, along with improving our third-party developer support. And the first kind of phase in bringing all of this together will be taking all of that support stuff, putting it on the community site so you don't have to go to a different website to get this stuff. We also have been doing some work on our back-end authentication stuff. We now have what we call a single sign-on solution. And this basically will allow you to sign into more places at the same time. So if you log into EveGate, you'll also be signed in on the community site and all of the other websites. So this is going to be a huge convenience kind of improvement so that you don't have to constantly log in and out everywhere. You'll just be across the board in. So we should see that in the coming months. So now that we're focusing on community, what else are we looking at for the rest of the year? Well, we want to improve your overall game experience. We really want to enhance it and figure out what we need to do there. I had a cool video, but Murphy's Law, it wouldn't work. The first step towards that is giving you more access to the Eve universe and what you're doing and your activities in it. So this is the star map from the Eve Online website. It can show static data like security status, agent locations, but importantly, it can also show some real-time information like losses, jumps, even sovereignty changes as it's happening live in the universe. This is a big, big thing. So we can add more views to it, and we've played around with timelines of views, but the next big step is basically putting it in your hands. We're going to offer this star map as an embeddable plugin that you can put on your websites. So whatever website you have, your blog, your fan site, wherever, you can basically feed information into the star map, and it will generate your customized view. So I'm really, really excited to see what you're going to do with this. And we're also going to give you the ship viewer, so you can spin all the things. Well, just to wrap up, basically, Web is going to continue focusing on the community. We want to expose more of the EVE universe to you, and just so that we can bring your game experience closer to you in more places. We're going to write some dev blogs, let you know what we're up to, so looking forward to getting your feedback. So thank you very much. That's it from me. I'll hand you back to John.
I can't stress enough just how much the work that all of those teams are doing has really enabled us over the last year to now be at a point where you will really be able to take EVE everywhere. You'll be able to use it and interact with the game pretty much wherever you are, whenever you are. So the next person who's going to come on and speak is part of Team Gridlock. Who knows who Gridlock is? Yeah. What do you think of Team Gridlock? So I guess I should sort of preface this next talk with, beware, this is going to get technical. But I want to just take a moment to invite up on stage one of our best known and certainly hairiest developers. Please welcome on stage CCP Veritas.
Thank you, John. Hello, everybody. As John said, I'm Brian Basset, otherwise known as CCP Veritas from Team Gridlock. And yes, I have the best afro. So I just want to take you on a brief trip back in history as to what Team Gridlock has done so far. We came into existence back in August of 2010, or 11, or 9, one of those numbers. And we were given the charge of, hey, fix the lag. Pretty good idea, right? So we had a look and looked at how the server was doing, looked at how the client was doing, and decided the best idea would be to first tackle the server. Why bother making the window to the universe better when the universe itself is kind of troubled? So you can see on this chart here, which is the CPU being spent per user on Tranquility, that we spent a good year and change bringing that down quite a lot. At that point, we kind of reevaluated things and decided we'd hit the sweet spot where more effort would be good, but not as good as it was at the start. So we went into a different phase, phase 2, where we looked at graceful degradation. So that brings us up to about the current dates. We've gotten about a 50% reduction in CPU per user cluster-wide. More in large fights, because that's what we were intending to really go after. The 50% thing is kind of an accident. Pretty happy one, but an accident. This has allowed pretty much the greatest scale of fights in EVE that you guys have ever said is playable. We started off around 600. Nowadays, we're up around 2,000. And it also allows tactics and ships that previously were too risky or too ineffective to be on the field. For instance, logistic ships have become extremely popular in large fights. And bombers, if anybody had ever done a bombing run in large lag about a year ago, you know the effects were usually more comical than effective. They work now. Holy cow, they're so fun to watch. So to remind everybody where we were about a year ago, this was a fight in the 020 solar system, just before FanFest last year, with about 1,950 population. Obviously without time dilation, that was something put in much later. And what we're looking at here in blue is how far behind the module processing loop was. That's in seconds, not in minutes. But we're still looking at about 5 minutes, which is not exactly great. It means a fast cycling module is going to be 5 seconds plus a small time versus just a small time. Not, gameplay efficient. And in red, what we're looking at here is the number of tasks that were waiting for processing. And that got up to about 150,000. Each one of those correlates approximately to a single action from a client. So that's 150,000, I want to kill this dude, that were just sitting around waiting their turn. So that's better than it had ever been, but still not exactly very good. So thankfully, there was a fight in CJ6 about 2 weeks back with about 1,900 players in the system. supers, etc., blah, blah, some of those goon guys. Yeah, I was there. Drake's died, all I'm saying. And I want to show you the graph, the same thing, same time scale of what it looked like in CJ6. So I'm feeling pretty good about this, right? And that was on a reinforced node. It was on the best hardware that the operations guys have for us, and it was running at about 20% time dilation, which means 1 second in the game was about 5 seconds in real life. We can go bigger, so have bigger fights. So graphs and all this are great and all, but I invited some of the FCs from that fight to have some words on it, and I want to share those with you guys. First off,
so what
we have,
were able to do is essentially play Eve just like Clag wasn't there.
Shadu, you might know him from Pandemic Legion. We got another one of the guys.
But it actually let us load without black screening and jump in without horribly dying to nothingness.
Dying to nothingness, not so fun. Shooting people, fun. We'll see.
Also, let me just say that from an FC, from a large coalition's point of view, I think tie-dye is just absolutely awesome.
He's very enthusiastic about it, you can tell.
That is his most excited voice.
Yeah, I don't know. And Makalu unfortunately couldn't join us. He was busy playing Eve. So what's up next? The fantastic gentleman from New York is correct. The frame rate is too damn low. And we're looking to fix that this year through a whole lot of effort from a few guys. We got some new client experts on the team, CCP Snorlax and CCP Colgate. They're helping me out, bringing me up to speed, and we're kicking this stuff in the teeth. Our main goals here are to first reduce the client load in heavy engagements. We've got big fights, we've got 2,000 players, the server's handling it reasonably well, and the client could use some love. I know you guys usually bring the graphic settings down to low, turn off brackets, and all these things we'd really just rather you not have to do. Fights look frickin' awesome with all the settings on. So we want to march towards that goal as best we can. In addition to that, for you guys who don't do the big fleet fight thing, we are looking at just increasing the general smoothness of the client. There's a lot of operations where you push the button, the client just kind of hiccups a little bit, goes, and then your stuff arrives. And we're just looking at that, looking at ways we can either smooth that out or just increase the feedback so you know that something's going on, but the frame rate doesn't hitch. Obviously, when smoothness is on the line, crashes are not smooth. So we've got a new crash reporting system up. We're going through all those and fixing them. Who here likes crashes? This guy right here, I can make your client crash whenever I want to. It's fun. While we're along the way, we're looking to fix some minor usability issues that just get in the way. For instance, recently with the overview, we made some changes that lock the sorting when you're trying to interact with it, so you can hopefully pick out the primary instead of chasing them all around as the overview resorts. We did a survey on that recently. It was generally positive. We're going to be looking at why some of you hate us and hopefully turn that around, or not. This is a graph of pretty much the overview changes that we were just talking about. On the left we have before, left on the right after, and this is just an example of spikes that we looked at. The overview update was taking a good 150, 120 milliseconds, and that gives a very jerky performance. This was with a couple hundred entries in the overview. We managed to get that down to about 60, which still isn't fantastic, but it's a lot less noticeable. It's a lot less jerky. And that's just a matter of smoothness. It's all about the smooth. Another example of something we targeted recently was the market groups window. This guy has a lot of different text elements and graphics on screen. It's all very complex as far as the setup of it goes. One of the guys looked at this for a couple days, figured out a better way to organize it on the code side, and was able to get some pretty good improvements. We're in red here, we're looking at how many seconds it took to bring that window up with, granted, ridiculous amounts of entries, but still over there in the 20, we're talking a good second to bring it up, and he brought that down to pretty much nothing. So good work, dude. But we're not quite done with the server. We're very happy with time dilation so far, but we'd be even happier if it didn't kick in quite so often. The first thing we want to tackle is when it kicks in when you're moving large fleets around. If you've got 500 dudes and you're jumping between systems, that often kicks in time dilation. And for the most part, what the server's doing at that point is dealing with your skills. You've got a whole lot of skill books in your brain. They've got a lot of attributes on them. And it's tearing them down, bringing them back up, tearing them down, bringing them back up. We'd much rather some other server deal with all that crap. And the server that's dealing with your spaceships just says, oh, well, that's the dude's brain, plunk. Makes sense, right? So hopefully we'll get that done sometime this year. And the second one we want to look at, I call it the Destiny Dispatcher. As some of you know, the Eve server is currently single-threaded, and that's kind of a waste on modern hardware. Modern hardware is very big on having multiple cores, doing multiple things at the same time. So I want to take the biggest load in standard fights, which is telling people about the things that are going on, and move that to another thread of execution. And by that I mean, like, I shoot a missile at you, I as a server would need to tell you, hey, I shot a missile at him, I shot a missile at him. And you can imagine how big that gets when everybody is shooting everybody else. It's a whole lot of stuff that we need to tell to a whole lot of people. So we're going to wake up the hamsters here. They're not dead. They're just sleeping. They're fine. And move that stuff on down. Allows us to get more done in the same amount of time, which then allows time dilation to not kick in quite so often. So that's kind of our plan for this year, and hopefully we'll do good work. And I'd like to pass it back to John. Thank you.
Great stuff. So we're getting towards the end now. So far we've taken a look at kind of what we've done through the start of 2012. We've taken a look at the features which are on their way and the ones that we've just delivered. We've looked at our cluster and our web technology, and then some great optimization work there from Brian and the Gridlock guys. So the next and really final thing for us to look at is, how's Eve looking? It's a key part of what the game is all about. So to talk about how the look of Eve is changing, just welcome up on stage, please, our creative director, CCP Torvi Frans.
Hi, everyone. Great to be here. Yeah, I want to tell you a little bit about art and stuff. But before talking about art, I want to mention story. One of the cool things that we did this year was to stop writing chronicles, which actually wasn't that cool. But we felt that we were manufacturing manufacturing story and manufacturing content. And it was a bit all over the place, and it was a bit hard for new people to get into the storyline without like reading all of the novels and all of the chronicles and all of the mission descriptions and so on to like really grasp what the story is about. So we went out to build the fiction portal, which is a new wiki. It's about like 1,000 pages done by both our writers and with great help from the Mercury volunteers, which really, as you can see, this massive article about Jamil Sarum is a place for you to really dive into the story, and if you hear about something in a mission description or you read some chronicle, then you can go and read more and really like chew on it. It's also very helpful if you're writing fan fiction. So but about avatars. So we've talked a lot about spaceships, and spaceships are awesome, and we like spaceships, and we like blowing them up. But I also like avatars a little bit. And we put out Incarna last year. And we put out the character creator. And a lot of the technology that we put out last year, we've only barely started to realize the full potential simply of what's sitting out there on Tranquility right now. So that's one way we can do more with avatars. But really, after the organizational changes, we were faced with a lot of choices. Where should we go with avatars? And rather than simply tweaking what was there, namely the captain's quarters, we've committed a small team of 4 engineers to kind of add value to the existing character creator, to do minor tweaks to the character creator itself. We're not doing any further development on the captain's quarters for the moment because we are building a proper, more solid vision for avatar gameplay in EVE through prototyping. And this is a very early example of me doing some prototyping at home. Pretty cool. It's just glow sticks and Star Wars figures and dry ice. You should do it. But seriously, we felt that our vision for avatar gameplay, it relied heavily on socializing and customization, and we took one step back and we feel we need more serious gameplay in there, more game mechanics that relate more directly to the way that the game is played out in space, much more like skullduggery, backstabbing, risk versus reward ratio, and all these things that you love and enjoy about EVE itself. So that's what we are looking at for the avatars. We're also doing simple things like this. Now you can keyframe characters inside the character creator, so you could actually make some machinima with some lead hacks. I'm waiting for someone to do a monologue from within the character creator itself. Another thing that we're going to be doing in Inferno is add more skin color options. It's actually, we're not really utilizing each race properly. So we figured out a way to take, this is an example of a Brutor, to change the skin colors of them to allow you to have really dark skin or really light skin, and that actually, makes it feel like a completely different character, which is cool. Another cool thing that I'm personally very excited about is getting sleeve tattoos into the game. You're going to be able to, there's going to be a lot of options, and you're going to be able to put it on one arm or both arms or left or right arm. We haven't fully designed exactly how you acquire them and how you get them, but we're going to make it in such a way that you're going to like it. We don't want another riot on our hands. Could this be done? This is unspeakable. Could they ever blend? Yeah, forbidden love. That's something that we're missing from this game, is forbidden love. We have everything else. So the backstory, it talks about, it talks about the 5 races, or the 4 major races, and the elusive Joves. These are massive civilizations, and they do mix. People have mixed heritages within the civilizations. So we took a look at the character rendering technology and figured out a way to kind of blend different races together in the character creator. This is a Minmatar Sebiestor, and here we're applying Akura, we're applying Kaldari Severe, we're actually applying Amar at one point. And this can be done with all of the different characters of all of the different races. Here the ratio is 60% Sebiestor against 40% of the other races, but we could vary the blending. Again, this is from a prototype of the character creator itself. The exact mechanics of how you acquire this, how you can do this, haven't been fleshed out, but we're expecting to ship this sometime this year, as soon as possible. That makes it so good, doesn't it? And this is actually pretty cool. This is something for the mission runners out there. Personally, I can't be bothered with picking up all the trash, picking up all the salvage, and getting this little droid to help you with that will be a welcome addition to the droid fleet. Now, those that follow what we're doing in art have heard about V3, which sounds really mysterious. It's basically we're applying a new shader to our ships. But it's a 9-year-old game, and we have over 300 ships in-game, and then a lot of different assets, like the models for our space stations, the Stargates, and things that you encounter in missions and so on. So it takes a lot of time, because we also want to do other cool things, like building battlecruisers. So V3ing has been ongoing for a while, and here are some examples of the Amarian V3ing. This is actually not a model. This is just one of the things that's being sold at the silent auction, painted by the same person who is V3ing the Amarian ships, which is pretty cool. I recommend you check it out. But V3ing also helps us with improving the kind of look of the game. It's not just allowing us to put more textures on the ships, but once they are all V3'd, we will be able to modify the lighting model in the game, doing things like having missile explosions illuminate the ship, or when your turrets are firing, having that illuminate your ship. It also allows us to do things like bounce lighting from the surface of planets. You've seen these pictures of the ISS, in orbit, and there's a lot of soft bounce light that comes up from the planet up to the ISS, and it allows us to do that. So it's going to look cooler when you're next to a planet, especially when you are bombarding that planet. It also paves the ways for decals. This is the Vandal, which was the prize in the Alliance tournament last year. And you notice the little 9, or IX, for those of you that can't read Roman numerals, on the side of it. That's one decal put in, and it's really easy to change and put in new ones for V3. Now, you all heard about our troubles last year, and you heard about our financial worries, and we had a lot of worries at one point in time, and there was a lot of thinking, a lot of what can we do? How can we save EVE, and how can we save CCP? And all options were on the table. And something came up, which was really far along, before somebody decided to do Crucible and just do cool stuff and sell it to you and make you happy. But we thought about doing this. But one of our biggest contributors actually wasn't there anymore. They couldn't come up with the money. But this is actually not a joke, because this could be corporation logos or alliance logos or designs that you make in future ship skinning and customization modes of the game. Sorry? Yeah. Sure. Anyway, stealth bombers, badass ships. Cool ships. Look like newbie frigates. That's not cool. So, they should look cooler than a newbie frigate with just some color. It should look something like this. And these are models that we are working on right now. The Manticore could be cooler, like this. Purifier, like this. Notice, it is cool. It's going to look really cool when it's built. But what are these little sockets on the side of it? My. What should we put on those sockets? So last year we revamped the turrets. So we had a lot of love for the turret wielding races and a lot of tears for the Caldari. And they're like passively face rolling missiles while running level 4s. So we need to do something for them. Now we've prepared a short video showing you some missiles. But I want to tell you that this is work in progress. Artists said when I said, let's do a video, let's put this into a video. I said, no, it's not ready. It's not ready. It's not going to be ready. And truth be told, it's not fully ready. You're not seeing kind of everything. There are elements of the effects which are missing there, and there's polish to the models and so on. But what the hell? This is some prototype missile stuff. It has violence. That's cool stuff. I really look forward to it. Again, this video is on YouTube right now, as of this moment, for you guys at home. Can we dim the lights? And that's it for me. Thank you.
Awesome. Epic stuff. Looking pretty smug that I rolled Caldari now in the beginning. So that pretty much wraps it up for us. I just want to say a few closing words. That our focus is on spaceships. As Torvi's shown, there's a tiny, tiny bit of work going on for the dudes around as well. But we're in the spaceship business, and escalation will kick off 24th of April. It's around the corner, and the teams are all working really, really hard, and I know that they're very excited to get this stuff in your hands. After that, May 22nd, Inferno will hit the streets. You guys will be able to be playing it. There's a lot of very, very interesting tools in there that you're going to be able to make your own game with. And all of this stuff, all of these things are in the plan. We're going to deliver this. This is grounded in reality. This isn't pipe dreams and smoke and mirrors. This is stuff which is really going to happen. Crucible was a start for us. I've seen on the forums, I've seen in many, many different places. I'll see what they do next. It will be not just more of the same, it will be things which are even better, but they're aimed at our core players, and they're aimed at you. So this is just the beginning. There's another commitment that I made to you guys just before Christmas, and it was that everybody who was a subscriber on the 31st of December, we would, at FanFest, send you guys into space. We have a slight problem with the launch windows in that the weather is against us right now. It's actually pretty nice outside, but when you go about 18K up, it's actually blowing the pod that we were going to send up in the wrong direction. We've actually done 2 test flights. We've had some fantastic help from the University of Iceland, from the Coast Guard, and from the telco company Simin. They've been lending us helicopters. They've been lending us crew. They've been flying to try and retrieve the pod in these the test flights. We've been sending jeeps out. The jeeps have been getting stuck. And they've been recovering these pods with some pretty good footage of what we can expect. Like I said, the weather's against us right now, but I know the team at Launch Control have been putting a huge amount of effort in, and they're watching the situation on an hour-by-hour basis. But if we're unable to do it at FanFest, we will do it. We will stream it live. We will make sure that it's available to everybody. Unfortunately, I can't control Mother Nature, but I know that the team's doing everything they can to try and have a successful launch tomorrow, if at all possible. And so with that, this is bringing the EVE keynote to an end. Tomorrow, we have CCP Presents, the big keynote, which will take much more of a future, of a visionary look at what we're doing at CCP. I really urge you to attend. There's some amazing material in there. But today's been about what's going to happen, and it's what's going to happen in your game. There's a small event tonight. I can't wait for it. If you see me out there, let's have a beer. Let's have a chat. It'll be a quiet evening, I'm sure. Probably be a very, very quiet morning. But I'm looking forward to getting out there and actually meeting a load of you. I was in a number of bars on Wednesday night, and nobody knew who I was. It was great. I was anonymous. And now I've kind of broken my cover. So let's have a really good evening tonight. Let's have a few beers, and let's talk EVE. Thank you very much. Thank you.